Day 50, Egypt and Exodus, Exodus 37 through 38, Leviticus 26, Psalm 81. Let's begin. Exodus 37:38. Now Bezalel also made the ark from shittim wood, having 2 1/2 cubits in length, and 1 1/2 cubits in width, and the height was also 1 1/2 cubits. And he clothed it with the purest gold, inside and out. And for it he made a crown of gold all around, casting 4 gold rings at its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side, and 2 on the other. Likewise he made bars from shittim wood, which he clothed with gold. And he placed them into the rings, which were at the sides of the ark, to carry it. He also made the propitiatory, that is, the oracle, from the finest gold, 2 1/2 cubits in length, and 1 1/2 cubits in width. And then 2 cherubim of ductile gold, which he positioned at the 2 sides of the propitiatory. 1 cherub at the top of one side, and the other cherub at the top of the other side. The 2 cherubim were at each end of the propitiatory, spreading their wings, and protecting the propitiatory, and gazing toward it and toward one another. He also made the table from shittim wood, with a length of 2 cubits, and a width of 1 cubit, which had a height of 1 1/2 cubits. And he surrounded it with the finest gold, and for it he made a ledge of gold all around. And for the ledge itself he made a polished crown of gold, 4 fingers high, and upon the same, another crown of gold. And he cast 4 gold rings, which he set at the 4 corners at each foot of the table, opposite the crown. And he placed the bars into them, so that the table could be carried. Likewise, the bars themselves he made from shittim wood, and he surrounded them with gold. And he made vessels for the diverse uses of the table, as well as the little cups, and bowls, and measuring cups, and the censers, from pure gold, in which the libations would be offered. He also made the lampstand, formed from the finest gold. The branches, bowls, and little spheres, as well as the lilies, proceeded from its bar. 6 on the 2 sides, 3 branches on one side, and 3 on the other. 3 bowls, the size of a nut, were on each branch, with little spheres and lilies, and 3 bowls, in the likeness of a nut, were on the other branch, with the little spheres together with the lilies. The workmanship of the 6 branches, which proceeded from the shaft of the lampstand, was equal. Now on the shaft itself were 4 bowls, the size of a nut, and little spheres together with each one, and lilies. And little spheres under 2 branches in 3 places, which together made 6 branches proceeding from 1 bar. Thus, both the little spheres and the branches were from the same thing, all hand-worked from the purest gold. He also made the 7 lamps with their candle snuffers, and the vessels where the candles would be extinguished, from the finest gold. The lampstand with all its vessels weighed a talent of gold. He also made the altar of incense from shittim wood, having 1 cubit on each of 4 sides, and in height 2. From its corners proceeded horns. And he clothed it with the purest gold, with its grating, as well as the sides and the horns. And for it he made a crown of gold all around, and 2 gold rings under the crown at each side, so that the bars might be put into them, and the altar could be carried. Now the bars themselves he also made from shittim wood, and he covered them with layers of gold. He also composed the oil for the ointment of sanctification, and the incense, from the purest aromatics, with the skill of a perfumer. He also made the altar of holocaust from shittim wood, 5 cubits square, and 3 in height, the horns of which proceeded from the corners. And he covered it with layers of brass. And for its uses he prepared diverse vessels out of brass, kettles, forceps, little hooks, larger hooks, and receptacles for the fire. And he made its grating of brass, in the manner of a net, and under it, in the midst of the altar, its base, casting 4 rings at the 4 ends of the net in order to set the bars, so as to carry it. These bars he also made of shittim wood, and he covered them with layers of brass. And he drew them through the rings, which projected from the sides of the altar. But the altar itself was not solid, but hollow, made from panels and empty inside. He also made the washtub of brass, with its base made from the mirrors of the women who kept watch at the door of the tabernacle. He also made the atrium, at the south side of which were hangings of fine twisted linen of 100 cubits in 20 columns of brass with their bases. The heads of the columns and all of the engraving work were of silver. Equally, at the northern area, the hangings, the columns, and the bases and heads of the columns were of the same measure and work and metal. Yet truly, on that side which looks out toward the west, there were hangings of 50 cubits, and 10 columns with their bases of brass. And the heads of the columns and all of the engraving work were of silver. Furthermore, toward the east, he prepared hangings of 50 cubits, of which there were 15 cubits, among 3 columns with their bases, holding up one side. And on the other side, for between the two he made the entrance of the tabernacle, there were equally hangings of 15 cubits, and 3 pillars, and the same number of bases. All the hangings of the atrium were woven from fine twisted linen. The bases of the columns were of brass, but their heads with all of their engravings were of silver. Now he also overlaid the columns of the atrium themselves with silver. And he made, at its entrance, a hanging, wrought with embroidery, of hyacinth, purple, vermilion, and fine twisted linen, which held 20 cubits in length, yet truly it was 5 cubits in height, as with the measure of all the hangings of the atrium. Now the columns at the entrance were 4, with bases of brass, and their heads and engravings were of silver. Likewise, the 10 pegs of the tabernacle and the atrium all around he made of brass. These are the instruments of the tabernacle of the testimony, which were enumerated according to the instruction of Moses, with the ceremonies of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. Which Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur from the tribe of Judah, had completed, just as the Lord decreed through Moses. He was joined by his associate, Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach from the tribe of Dan, who himself was also an exceptional artisan of wood, and of weaving, as well as of embroidery, with hyacinth, purple, vermilion, and fine linen. All of the gold that was expended in the work of the sanctuary, and that was offered in donation, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the measure of the sanctuary. Now it was offered by those who were past the numbering of 20 years and above, from 603,550 men able to bear arms. There were, beyond that, 100 talents of silver, from which were cast the bases for the sanctuary and for the entrance where the veil hangs. 100 bases were made from 100 talents, a single talent being counted for each base. But from 1,775, he made the heads of the columns, which he also clothed with silver. Likewise, of brass, there was offered 72,000 talents, and 400 more shekels, from which were cast the bases at the entrance of the tabernacle of the testimony, and the altar of brass with its grating, and the vessels which pertained to its use. And the bases of the atrium, as much at the circumference as at its entrance, and the 10 pegs of the tabernacle and of the atrium all round. Leviticus 26. I am the Lord your God. You shall not make for yourselves an idol or a graven image. Neither shall you erect a monument, or set up a conspicuous stone in your land, in order that you may adore it. For I am the Lord your God. Observe my Sabbaths, and be fearful toward my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you will walk in my precepts, and observe my commandments, and accomplish them, I will give to you rain in its time. And the ground shall bring forth its seedlings, and the trees shall be filled again with fruit. The threshing of the harvest shall last until the vintage, and the vintage shall overtake the sowing. And you shall eat your bread to fullness, and you shall live in your land without fear. I will give peace to your most distant regions. You will sleep, and there will be no one to strike you with terror. I will take away harmful wild beasts, and the sword will not cross your borders. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall down at the sight of you. 5 of yours will pursue 100 foreigners, and 100 of you will pursue 10,000. Your enemies will fall by the sword in your sight. I will look with favor upon you, and I will cause you to increase. You will be multiplied, and I will confirm my covenant with you. You will eat the oldest of what is old, and when what is new arrives, you will throw away what is old. I will set my tabernacle in your midst, and my soul will not cast you out. I will walk among you, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, who led you away from the land of the Egyptians, lest you serve them, and who broke the chains around your necks, so that you would walk upright. But if you will not listen to me, nor accomplish all of my commandments, if you despise my laws, and disdain my judgments, so that you do not accomplish those things which have been established by me, and so that you lead my covenant away into nullification, then I also will do these things to you. I will quickly visit you with destitution, and burning heat, which will waste away your eyes, and consume your lives. In vain will you sow your seed, which will be devoured by your enemies. I will set my face against you, and you will fall down before your enemies, and you will be subjugated to those who hate you. You will flee, though no one pursues. But if you will not be obedient to me in this way, then I will add sevenfold to your chastisement, because of your sins. And I will crush the pride in your hardness, and I will give to you heaven above like iron, and the earth below like brass. Your labor will be consumed to no purpose, the land will not bring forth seedlings, nor will the trees provide their fruit. If you walk as an adversary to me, and if you are not willing to listen to me, I will add sevenfold to your plagues, because of your sins. And I will send upon you the wild beasts of the field, which will consume you and your cattle, and which will reduce everything to paucity, and cause your roadways to become desolate. But if you are not willing to receive discipline in this way, and you still walk as an adversary to me, likewise I will advance against you as an adversary, and I will strike you 7 times, because of your sins. And I will lead over you the sword that shall avenge my covenant. And when you will have fled into the cities, I will send a pestilence into your midst, and you will be delivered into the hands of your enemies. After this, I will have broken the staff of your bread, so that 10 women bake bread in one oven, and distribute it by weight. And you shall eat and not be filled. Then, if you will not listen to me through these things, and you still walk against me, then I also will advance against you, with an opposing fury, and I will chastise you with 7 plagues, because of your sins. So much so that you will eat the flesh of your sons and your daughters. I will destroy your high places, and I will break apart your false images. You will fall among the ruins of your idols, and my soul will abominate you. So much so that I will reduce your cities to a wilderness, and I will make your sanctuaries desolate, and I will no longer accept the most sweet odors. And I will utterly ruin your land, and your enemies shall be stupefied at it, when they will have become its inhabitants. Then I will scatter you among the Gentiles, and I will unsheathe the sword after you. And your land will be deserted, and your cities will be demolished. Then the land will be pleased by her Sabbaths, throughout all the days of her solitude. So, while you will be in the land of the enemy, she will worship and rest in the Sabbath of her solitude, because she will not have rested in your Sabbaths, when you lived in her. And whoever of you will remain, I will send terror into their hearts in the regions of their enemies. The sound of a flying leaf will terrify them, and so they will flee, as if from the sword. They will fall, though no one pursues. And they will each fall upon their brothers, as if they were fleeing from wars. No one among you will dare to resist your foes. You will perish among the Gentiles, and the land of the enemy will consume you. But if some few of these still remain, they shall waste away in their iniquities, in the land of their enemies, and they will be afflicted, because of the sins of their fathers and their own sins, until they confess their iniquities, and those of their ancestors, by which they have transgressed against me and walked as adversaries to me. Therefore, I also will walk against them, and I will lead them into a hostile land, until their uncircumcised mind shall be ashamed. Then shall they pray on behalf of their impiety. And I will remember my covenant, which I formed with Jacob, and Isaac, and Abraham. I will also remember the land, which, when she will be left behind by them, shall be pleased by her Sabbaths, enduring solitude because of them. Yet truly, they shall pray for their sins, because they cast aside my judgments, and they despised my laws. And even after so much, when they were in the land of their enemy, I did not cast them off entirely, and I did not so despise them that they would be consumed, nor so that I would nullify my covenant with them. For I am the Lord their God. And I will remember my original covenant, when I led them away from the land of Egypt, in the sight of the Gentiles, so as to be their God. I am the Lord. These are the judgments, and precepts, and laws, which the Lord has granted between himself and the sons of Israel, on Mount Sinai, by the hand of Moses. Psalm 81. A psalm of Asaph. God has stood in the synagogue of gods, but in their midst he decides between gods. How long will you judge unjustly and favor the faces of sinners? Judge for the indigent and the orphan. Do justice to the humble and the poor. Rescue the poor, and free the needy from the hand of the sinner. They did not know and did not understand. They wander in darkness. All the foundations of the earth will be moved. I said, You are gods, and all of you are sons of the Most High. But you will die like men, and you will fall just like one of the princes. Rise up, O God. Judge the earth. For you will inherit it with all the nations,